we just got a ton of details on how the future of the DC universe is potentially going to be going as far as the movies go. So, if you missed it, we got two articles, one huge article from Hollywood Reporter, and then one smaller article from Deadline that was more about Black Adam and the future there. And there's some conflicting details here. So, the main stuff is, again, this is all rumors also, but Hollywood Reporter is generally a very reputable source, but they have a bunch of sources coming to them and saying a lot of things. And something that is consistent among all the different things that these sources are saying is that nothing is finalized and everything's kind of like in the air. So all this stuff you can take with a grain of salt. It could all change. Well, I recorded this video last night. I'm editing it today, and this morning, James Gunn tweeted about these rumors. So, of course, I'm going to cover that right now. And just keep in mind, for the rest of this video where I'm talking, I have no knowledge about these tweets because they had not happened yet. So, let me read the tweets to you first about what James Gunn was saying regarding this Hollywood Reporter report. So, as for the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it is true, some of it is half true, some of it is not true, and some of it we haven't decided yet whether it's true or not. Although this first month at DC has been fruitful, building the next 10 years of story takes time, and we're still just beginning. Peter and I chose to helm DC Studios knowing we were coming into a fractious environment both in the stories being told and in the audience itself, and there would be an unavoidable transitional period as we moved into telling a cohesive story across film, TV, animation, and gaming. But, in the end, the drawbacks of that transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and the opportunity to build upon what has worked in DC so far and to help rectify what has not. We know we are not going to make every single person happy every step of the way, but we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story and in the service of the DC characters we know you cherish and we have cherished our whole lives. As for more answers about the future of the DCU, I will sadly have to ask you to wait. We are giving these characters and the stories the time and attention they deserve, and we ourselves still have a lot more questions to ask and answer. So basically what he's saying here is kind of what I've already addressed in this video, which is that everything's up in the air and nothing is finalized. Because it's hard to say that, oh, I want to reboot everything, but then you already have movies that are going to be coming out. What if those movies do incredibly well? What if The Flash is received so well by fans and makes a ton of money? Then what do? You can't just scrap The Flash. What if Aquaman 2 makes a ton of money again? The first one made $1 billion. What if the second one also makes $1 billion? Are you really going to scrap Jason Momoa as Aquaman and bring him back as Lobo? That's hard to do. And so I think it's right now everything's up in the air because they don't know how these movies are going to perform. On top of that, they don't know how the David Zaslav is going to react because he is the head of Discovery and WB, and he's who they're going to be reporting to about this next week, about their plans for the future of the DC universe. So I think that's where things lie right now, and that's essentially what he said, because he even says, like, in there, he said, in some of it we haven't decided yet whether it's true or not, because again, some of these are just ideas, and they don't know, like, if they're going forward with those ideas. So basically what I'm saying here is everything I say in this video, just keep it there with a grain of salt, like, keep it in the back of your mind. It's not necessarily like concrete this stuff's going to be happening. These are all just things that are being said, but who knows. So without further ado, I'll send you back to the video. So next week, Peter Safran and James Gunn, the two guys that are the heads of the DCU, are going to be meeting with the head of Discovery and Warner Brothers. They're going to be meeting with him and giving him their roadmap, being like, this is what we want to do with the DC Universe, this is our plans, and of course he's going to, approve it or not. So they've been narrowing everything down about what they want to do, and one of the big things to come out of this, apparently, from these rumors, is that Wonder Woman 3 is no longer happening. That's interesting because she was seen as one of the brighter spots as far of the sort of Snyderverse, but another thing that kind of, hurt her, though, was Wonder Woman 1984 was horrible. That movie sucked. I liked the first Wonder Woman. I thought it was pretty good. Third act kind of fell apart, but other than that, it was a fun movie. Wonder Woman 1984 was bad, and I have no clue how the numbers are because, that was like COVID times and it was released on HBO Max, so I don't know how any of that works. But, yeah, I know it wasn't the best. Well, actually, I don't think it was that well received. Me, personally, I really did not like it, but I don't know what the general audience thought of it. I think most people I talked to didn't really like that movie. But yeah, most people do like Gal Gadot, it seems, as Wonder Woman, and she, like, people praised her in Batman v Superman and the first Wonder Woman. So it's interesting that they're getting rid of her, apparently. But yeah, this rumor comes out of that Patty Jenkins turned in her script or whatever, from her and Jeff Johns wrote one. They turned it in, and James Gunn, Peter Safran, and everyone said, yeah, this doesn't work with our plans going forward, so goodbye. And so apparently the thing's dead currently. I don't know if that means that potentially maybe like if there's a rewrite or something, it could go forward, and they just don't like this version. But it sounds like they just don't want to do Wonder Woman 3 in general. Now, another thing is a rumor. One of the plans is that they just want to get rid of everyone that was cast by Zack Snyder. So that would mean just everyone. That apparently means getting rid of, like, halting anything on Man of Steel 2, which apparently was in development. Apparently they were actively looking for writers and working on Man of Steel 2, but now it seems like they might be scrapping that, and also getting rid of Jason Momoa as Aquaman, which is really weird because the first Aquaman made $1 billion. $1 billion. That is, no one saw that coming. That movie made $1 billion, and the second one's not even out yet, and you don't know how well that's going to do. It comes out at Christmas of next year. Who knows how that's going to do, and you're just already scrapping it? It's weird. But I do kind of understand this reboot angle because of the fact that you have James Gunn and Peter Safran coming in, wanting to do their own thing, and it's like you're playing with someone else's leftovers. You're playing with someone else's, like, used toys. It's like, I want my own stuff to play with. So I kind of understand that. But at the same time, like, man, you have these actors and characters that people are fans of, and some of it was really successful, like Aquaman, and you want to just scrap all that? I don't know. It's weird. But also part of the rumor is if they get rid of Jason Momoa as Aquaman, they just bring him back as Lobo. So that's interesting because we already had that whole thing where Jason Momoa tweeted about how he's going to be able to do like a passion project involving DC that he's really excited about, and it's been heavily hinted at that it's Lobo. It's not a very well kept secret. I thought personally that I was like, oh, if he's Aquaman, then that means if he's going to be Lobo, there's probably like an HBO Max animated thing or something. But no, it sounds like him live action. So I was like, sounds interesting. Something that does muddy this a bit, though, again, all of this is rumored and all of this is up in the air according to the sources. Something that is very up in the air, though, is Henry Cavill apparently recorded a cameo in September for Flashpoint. But as far as Flash goes, that movie, they said, is an unlocked picture and is just up in the air. Like, they don't really have anything finalized with the Flash. It's going to come out, but they don't really know if they're going to include the Henry Cavill and Jason Momoa cameos, or if they're going to scrap them, or who's going to show up, or what's going on. They have no clue. Also, apparently, there were test screenings for Aquaman: The Last Kingdom, and Ben Affleck wasn't in it, which was weird because remember months ago you had the whole Ben Affleck on like the WB lot with Jason Momoa, and they revealed that he's going to be an Aquaman. But apparently, in this latest test screening, he's not in it. So maybe that's another thing leaning towards scrapping Snyder characters or Snyder casting. I do wonder what this means for Shazam, though, because Shazam's kind of Snyder adjacent, but not really. Like, he wasn't, cast by Snyder in any of his movies. The only thing that really ties him is the fact that there's references to Superman and Batman, and Superman technically shows up at the end of the first Shazam. But otherwise, I feel like Shazam's kind of clean, and you could keep him going forward if you wanted to get rid of all the Snyder stuff. I feel like you could still keep Shazam. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Apparently, also before James Gunn and Peter Safran came on, like the current WB people were like, yeah, we want to do one more go with the Snyder characters and see how it goes. Maybe do another Justice League. But then James Gunn and Peter Safran came in and said, no, this doesn't go with our plans. So yeah, it sounds like they just really want to get rid of everything that's already established, which again, I kind of understand it, because if you're coming in and like you have all these half-developed stuff, like everything's half-baked, and like some stuff people like, some people don't, and you want to do your own thing, you want a clean slate, I understand where they're coming from. It just sucks because we just got Henry Cavill back. Like, don't waste him, please. I really hope he shows up in Flashpoint. That seems to be the tell. That seems to be when we'll actually know, unless there's more leaks until then, which there probably will be. That seems to be when we'll definitively know about what's going forward, though, is if Henry Cavill shows up in Flashpoint. But what I think would be hilarious is if they make all these plans, are like, yeah, we're going to scrap Jason Momoa as Aquaman, release the second Aquaman, that's it, and then he's going to be Lobo. But what if the second Aquaman comes out and also makes $1 billion? That would be so funny to me. I really hope that happens, because then they would have to be like, wait a second, we have to reevaluate. They're not just going to, not make a third Aquaman if the second one also makes $1 billion. There's no way. There's no way they do that. It's like with the first Joker, where in all the interviews, the director and Joaquin Phoenix were all saying, we don't want this to be a franchise. This is just a one-off. This is a great story we want to tell. Then the movie made $1 billion, and they're like, yeah, we're going to make a sequel. It's like $1 billion changes things. Whatever the sequel, the plans are going forward, though, I do hope they keep James Wan around, because I love the first Aquaman. I think he is very unique with how he made that movie, and much different than most other comic book movie directors. So I hope he is used going forward. Something that will be interesting, though, is they meet with David Zaslav next week, the Discovery head and the head of WB, and he has made it clear that he really wants the core characters like the Trinity to be a big focus. So it's like, with that, then what's he going to say about Superman when they're like, yeah, we just announced Henry Cavill's coming back, but we think he shouldn't, and we're going to scrap that? Would David Zaslav be like, cool, I trust you guys, do whatever? Or he'd be like, no, bring Henry Cavill back. We want Superman. We don't want to have to go through all this again. I don't know. But yeah, my number one thing that I want, though, is Henry Cavill back as Superman. He's been in limbo forever. We just got him back, and now he's potentially not even coming back. That sounds horrible. I feel bad for him, and I really hope he comes back. But yeah, that's about it. If you want to hear me talk about it in more detail, I'm going to be talking about soon on my podcast, which I'll have linked in the description. Nerd Talk, you can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you listen to podcasts. But I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on this news? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's not? Because from what I hear, I believe that this stuff is true, but also it sounds like it's all just up in the air. So we don't know. So it doesn't really matter too much at this point. Like, all this stuff could completely change, like, next week. Who knows? But yeah, I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. And thank you for watching. I'll see you later.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.